What's your name?
Chris Rivas. I am, I guess, German, Scottish, and Black and Native American.
Hi, my name's Anita. I'm of Indian descent.
Hi, I'm Cindy, and I am a Chinese American. I was born in China but raised in the US for most of my life.
Hi, I'm Lalik Gunawardena. I'm of Asian descent, and if I have to check two boxes, I would be Asian and white, but I'm from Sri Lanka.
Hi, my name is Lexi, and I am a white girl who is Czechoslovakian, English, and Dutch.
I'm Chris. I'm Chinese.
How do you identify yourself?
Multiracial.
I'm 3/4 Sinhalese, a 16th Tamil, so that's all Sri Lankan, and then I'm 16th British and an 8th Dutch.
I as like a fusion of both cultures.
I identify as Chinese American.
Who do you feel most comfortable around? What, like racially?
I don't know. I don't really think about it. Anyone?
I'm really comfortable around everyone because I was raised in a very mainstream environment with like white people, Asian people, black people, like a mix of everything. But I mean, I tend to gravitate towards people of color, I would say, naturally.
Okay.
Group of friends. I don't specifically identify with one of those groups. But they themselves do not mesh well, as in I have to hang out with them individually.
I associate with a pretty diverse group. They're certainly not all the same race, and though I have some Chinese friends, I made plenty who are from different countries, especially during my study abroad time.
I wouldn't necessarily say who I feel most comfortable around in a racial way. I feel most comfortable around my friends, who, like I said, are pretty diverse. However, I guess if I had to like get right down to it, it would be white people. There have been instances where I've been around like a group of all black people, and just like felt out of place, felt like not welcome, and I think that can be true if it's any person that's different in a group of a whole bunch of people who are the same.
Has anyone ever said a racial slur or a stereotype towards you?
Towards me. I had a few comments. One time when I put black on my college applications, black and white, and Native American gets kind of tricky because you have to be affiliated with a tribe. And the part Native American that I am is not nationally recognized. It's recognized by the state of Virginia only, so it doesn't really count. But when I put it on college applications, I had some of my friends that are like, "You're not black. Like, you can't put that." I was like, "I can put that,
Mostly common ones such as Asians being bad drivers and how we have no ability to operate motor vehicles.
Growing up, I definitely did. I grew up in the South in Georgia, and I was born in Kentucky, so people definitely considered me, or our family tended to be like the only Indian family in our school, in our neighborhood. So there were definitely racial stereotypes. They expected me to be really good at math and really good at science, and your typical Indian, I guess, success stories, and they're like, oh, you're gonna be a doctor when you grow up, and so there are definitely those stereotypes, and they're like, you eat curry, and so yeah, I mean, it to some extent it did offend me, because if I wasn't actually true to those stereotypes, it was kind of like disturbing.
Oh yeah, I mean, people probably think I'm a terrorist because I don't really look Sri Lankan. I look a little Middle Eastern or Pakistani or whatever. And then going along with that, I've been called Paki before, which is pretty derogatory, like in the UK.
Called some racial slurs, such as a chink, maybe once or twice in my life, but because I was brought up without really knowing that it was a bad slur, it doesn't affect me as much as it probably should.
Have you ever had like any preconceived notions or like kind of like stereotypes towards other people?
I really have preconceived notions about anyone, but instead stereotype based on what they do, if they do something that fits a stereotype. For example, I'm not going to look at a French person and say, oh, you're French, so you must like baguettes and cheese. But rather, if I know their clear affection for baguettes and cheese, I'll joke around with them saying something like, well, that's incredibly French of you.
although like I wish I didn't have those, it's really hard to consciously remind yourself that that stereotype doesn't necessarily represent the person that you're like thinking about or that you're looking at or that you're talking with. So I guess I've had those thoughts as habitual, and it's a challenge to get out of those habits.
I mean, I try to have an open mind, but of course, like with all the media out there, we all have our stereotypes, and a lot of our friends, you know, poke fun at them just like the comedians do, and it's funny as long as you don't take it seriously.
And why do you think people have like stereotypes around if people don't like them and they're like offensive to people?
I guess some of the not so bad stereotypes like do kind of seem to exist. I mean, just from some examples, not everyone, but
I think people use it just so they could be, you know, putting themselves in a one-up situation to insult others. Not specifically to hurt, but just to get themselves ahead.
Racial stereotypes exist because sometimes they're true. Most times they're true, actually. In order for something to become a stereotype in the first place, it has to occur with enough frequency that it can be associated with the race in consideration. Certainly, I'm not saying that it's right to stereotype, but just simply stating what I've observed so far.
Because I think that a lot of people don't care what offends other people. I think that it's just about them.
Part of history, and it's going to be so hard to overcome that unless there's a law against making racial slurs. But due to the First Amendment rights, you have freedom of expression, so people can use them however they want to, really.